What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode here of the Desai Guys Football Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dermot Desai, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Desai Guys, Mr. Tad Desai. And Tad, we just did a 10-pick first-round mock draft for the real NFL draft happening in April, obviously. But now we're going to switch things over to the fantasy side. We want to give a quick preview, a quick look at possibly what the first round could look like for fantasy drafts. I mean, this should be a good fun. I mean, we were sort of working it through together to figure out a consensus top 10. This is by no means a set top 10 either.
No,
like I think
as we
as
haven't even hit free agency yet.
I know, it's definitely going to change as we hit, the off season and the summer months. Tad's probably going to have his own top 10. I'm going to have my own top 10, so it's definitely going to change a lot. But we wanted to, for the purposes of this episode, keep it to a consensus top 10, provide you with some analysis as to why we went in this direction. And the bigger thing, too, is that we're going to keep this very high and dry. Like, we're not going to go deep into this. We're going to be
So not low and wet.
Not low and
just
wet.
Making sure. Okay.
Exactly. So we're going to go through our top 10, maybe a little bit of analysis here, but nothing super deep. We're going to save that for our podcast episode. So make sure you check in to our podcast episode for our full analysis on our top 10 and why some players got snubbed and just a lot more analysis for the fantasy first round.
That's right, people. We're making you work for it.
Exactly. So Tad, let's not delay it any longer. We're using some new tech here with StreamYard. So, let's check this out here.
Why am I small? I don't like this. Make me big.
It is a lot different, but we want to make sure that we can.
Also, why am I on the bottom? Hold on. I want to know. I protest this. No, this has got to change next time.
It's the alphabetical order. That's the standard thing there. So
ever since kindergarten, that's always haunted me. It's with the T and the D, it's a total coin flip. Either I'm at the front of the line or I'm at the back of the line. We're both, last name D here, so I'm screwed either way.
Yeah, see, I got pretty lucky. I was AD, so either way, I worked out for me. But let's get into our top 10 here. You can see here we got our 10 picks. All the picks are laid out for you guys right here. So, I mean, Tad, let's just run through these here. We got Jonathan Taylor at number 1. I think this is a clear-cut decision. I don't know if there's anybody that can rival Jonathan Taylor for number 1 overall pick. Do you agree with that?
Well, now that I'm small, you guys can't see it over my shoulder, but I love Jonathan Taylor. I'm a diehard Colts fan. So, I mean, yeah, I looked it up. How many points behind Patrick Mahomes do you think Marlon Mack finished?
Marlon Mack?
Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Look at my notes.
Marlon Mack was probably like oodles of points way behind.
I'd be shocked if Marlon Mack eclipsed 10 points, to be totally honest.
I think so, yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, how many points behind Patrick Mahomes did he finish?
I don't think even that many. I think probably 15 or 20.
15 or 20?
Yeah. Wow.
1 point.
Yeah.
So Jonathan Taylor finished 1 point behind Patrick Mahomes, and as previously mentioned, Marlon Mack is more than likely gone. So Jonathan Taylor is just going to get more and more, carries. And also, don't forget, if you didn't follow the Colts that closely, we did not have a completely healthy O-line for like 70% of the season. Someone was always out. We were always kind of shuffling guys around. So if, and this is a big if, granted, if the guys can stay healthy next year, Jonathan Taylor is playing behind a healthy O-line that is arguably a top 3 O-line in the league. That's scary. So 100% consensus first overall pick.
Yeah, this is where we sort of started to disagree at times and sort of figure out, go in different directions, but we sort of came to a consensus, obviously, for our top 10 here. Went with Derrick Henry, the running back for the Tennessee Titans, at number 2. No, he's coming off the injury, but did play in the playoff game, so I think he's probably going to return to form with the full offseason of practice, maybe a little bit of resting too. I think he's still going to be a dominant force from that Tennessee Titans backfield. You agree here?
Yeah, dude played 8 games, still finished 9th in the league with total rushing yards, just shy of 1,000. He's going to be fine. He has the volume. He has the talent. The offensive line, at least to my knowledge so far, I haven't really done too much offseason research with the Titans, admittedly, should be relatively the same. Yeah, it's Derrick Henry. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, totally. So here's why I sort of said we had a little bit of disagreement, because you could probably argue that Austin Ekeler, who we put at 3, some people are saying that he could probably be at 2, because you have to look at the fact that he's got that pass catching factor as well.
Got those hands, baby.
Rushing. Exactly. So it's like you could probably argue that he could be at number 2, but we slated him in number 3. I think just Derrick Henry is just such a dominant running back, and even just as a runner too. Like I know he has the few pass catches every so often, but Austin Ekeler at number 3, I think is where we decided to go here. I think we went there with top 3. Let's just move into number 4, Nick Chubb, the running back, Cleveland Browns. I mean, he's just a total fit in that offense. Model of consistency. Like, I mean, he had 3 straight 1,000-yard rushing seasons. His rookie year, he was 4 yards shy of 1,000-yard rushing season. So, I mean, this guy is an absolute beast, and this offense is built around him. So, I mean, clear-cut Nick Chubb at number 4, right?
No, 100%. I don't know why I start off with no there. 100% yes. I mean, he's a great player, and, he's exactly like what you said. The system fits him. So he's a workhorse. Yes, Kareem Hunt's going to vulture off some touchdowns, but he's still valuable enough to justify this placement.
Jumping into number 5, we have 5 straight running backs going off the board here. So we got Dalvin Cook. I mean, he's the focal point of that offense. We're going to see what happens now with, Kevin O'Connell coming in as offensive coordinator. Are they going to lean more on the pass? But I think Dalvin Cook is their workhorse. We going to see what happens with Kirk Cousins, obviously. So I think that's why we decided to put Dalvin Cook at 5. He's still a very consistent running back. Even though he deals with some injuries every year, still he does enough during the games that he plays healthy that you warrant taking him at number 5, right, Ted?
Yeah, I mean, again, you hit the nail on the head of if he can just get over these injuries, the dude would be arguably going over Derrick Henry at this point. But you cannot depend on him to play you a full season, and especially with this extended season, he could miss some key, like, dude, I need to win this game late in the season, come on, like, play, and then he misses it. So Austin Ekeler, in my opinion, maybe a hot take, best dual threat running back when it comes to fantasy. Dalvin Cook would easily overtake him if he could just stay healthy. So that's what causes this quote unquote slip. But yeah, I agree. He's worth the risk at this point.
Yeah, agreed. So, number 6, we have our first receiver off the board, and it's the reigning Triple Crown winner, Cooper Kupp of the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the big thing is, like, there's going to be a regression, but I still think he's the clear-cut wide receiver number 1. Like, I mean, there's nobody that I think could overtake him with the way that he played last season, the way the Rams used him. I can't find any other receiver that would go ahead of Cooper Kupp, right, Ted?
No, it's exactly the same thing as it was with Nick Chubb. It's just the way the system uses him. Even if he does have, quote unquote, a down year after a near historic year this season, he's going to be fine. He's going to be well worth the slot here if you're doing a snake draft. He's going to be well worth the price if you're doing an auction draft. Cooper Kupp, yeah, far and away wide receiver number 1.
Exactly. So let's move into number 7, Joe Mixon, running back to Cincinnati Bengals. I think we saw a good balance. I know it was Joe Burrow, sort of a little bit of a comeback player of the year. He obviously won the award last season, so we saw more from the passing game.
Much to the despisement, is that a word? Basically,
now.
Yeah, there we go. Despisement, finacity. I'm just my own dictionary at this point. People here in Dallas were furious over that, like absolutely furious. And I was just like, I like it, and then instantly took cover. Like, that was just like...
Well, honestly, Tad, me and you were both in that same boat. That it was like, he came back from a serious injury. He was playing pretty well. He's a quarterback for the Cowboys. It seemed like it was an automatic win for Dak Prescott to sort of win that award. So honestly, I was a little surprised that they actually chose Burrow. But I mean, Joe Burrow's an absolutely rightful recipient of the award. But just like, yeah, I was kind of in that this is Dak's award. He's probably going to win it. And so, yeah, I like that Joe Burrow won it, but I was a little shocked that Dak actually didn't win it. So, but yeah, going back to Joe Mixon here, he's bringing, he looked a little bit more comfortable in Zach Taylor's offense. You saw that offense being a little bit more balanced too. So I think we may see more Joe Mixon coming into 2022. So that's why I like Joe Mixon here at 7 going in the first round as one of those first running backs that you want to take, especially with 5 straight in our consensus top 10 going off. This is a good running back to get towards the back end of the first round. Now, here's the interesting one here.
Whoa, I got some thoughts on Mixon before you slow down, Sonic. Jesus. Here's the thing with the Bengals, right? They have the third most salary room going into the offseason. Everyone has been saying, I mean, I don't even know if it's considered a secret at this point. They need to invest in their O-line. Like, that needs to happen. Joe Mixon is coming off a top 5-ish, like around that fantasy season, behind a pretty crappy O-line. If the Bengals do what they should, which is admittedly a big if, just imagine Joe Mixon behind a actually good offensive line. Like, he honestly, if you get Mixon at 7, that could end up being the steal of the draft for next season, in my honest opinion. But it all depends on what the Bengals do with that offensive line this offseason.
No, it's absolutely true. Yeah, he played behind a pretty terrible offensive line. And yeah, if they make even one or two improvements to the offensive line, they could definitely get an upgrade. And so, yeah, that's better for Joe Burrow, obviously. And for fantasy players, obviously, Joe Mixon, your running back, getting him at 7. Yeah, just like Tad said, excellent steal here. So here's the interesting one here at number 8, Tad, Christian McCaffrey.
We had arguments on this one.
This one could be an interesting steal as well because obviously, the big thing negating him these past 2 seasons has just been the injuries. He's obviously out all of 2020 with the injury, and then 2021 he played a little bit. He looked just like his old self, but then he got hurt again, so he missed a lot of time. That's where Mike, they didn't have Mike Davis anymore, so they are going with other guys. So if he's healthy, I think he's still a dominant force in fantasy circles. But that's the thing now. It's like for 2 straight years, we see him being bit by that injury bug pretty severely. So that's why he slides out of the top 5 and he goes here at 8. Like, I still think that he can stay healthy and he's still a dominant force. So that's why I still got him in the first round. But Tad, I know you were sort of arguing to me a little bit that he should slip out of the first round. So, I mean, don't want to get into it too much here. We want to save this for a podcast later this weekend. But just, yeah, what were your initial thoughts when we were sort of coming up with this consensus top 10 with McCaffrey here in the first round?
He can't stay healthy. And here's why. It's by no fault of his own. Is the fact that his O-line's crap, his quarterback's crap, his receivers are fine. Sorry, DJ Moore, I know you're actually good, but the rest of them, fine. Don't. I want to hear Robbie Anderson fans. It's Robbie Anderson. Relax. But my whole basic thing is the reason he keeps getting hurt is because defenses know, hey, we go after this guy, we're good to go. Is that going to be anything new next season? No. So, look, is he talented? Absolutely. Can he stay healthy? Probably not. Is he going to be the focal point of the offense? Really the only focal point of that offense next season, unless they do something drastic? Probably. So it's nothing against him as a player. It's more of the team he's on. You stick him with, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You stick him with not Chargers. Help me out here. Seattle, I guess, with Russ, you stick him with the Cardinals? Oh my God. He instantly skyrockets in my top 5. But with him with the Panthers, I don't see it.
That's fair. Yeah, you got the poor quarterback play, like you said. Offensive line is not that great either. So as good as that defense is to give them opportunities, just the offense does absolutely nothing. So yeah, teams will be keying in on Christian McCaffrey, but I still like him as a first-round pick. But yeah, we'll get into that this weekend. Obviously, let's close out our first round here. We got Najee Harris at number 9. I think there was a little bit of disagreement on this pick as well. Like I was sort of saying with, similar to Christian McCaffrey, it's like the question marks at the quarterback position. Their offensive line play is not that great, but Najee Harris still had a pretty good rookie season. And I think he's going to be the focal point of this offense with the question marks surrounding their quarterback position. So I see him getting a lot of the touches, being sort of that Le'Veon Bell type of player for that offense, of just being involved in the passing game and the rushing game, just any sort of facet of the offense, he will be involved with this sort of thing. So he'll get plenty of touches, which leads to plenty of opportunities to score a lot of points. But Tad, I know for the exact same reasons as Christian McCaffrey, of just like, everything that you laid out, it's very similar for Najee Harris, right?
Yeah, I think his rookie season, while good, is kind of overrated. He barely averaged over 3 yards a carry. And the only reason I conceded him here is because, yeah, he is going to get that volume. So what you're going to get from Najee Harris this next season, exactly like what you got this past season. He's going to give you a 4-point game. He's going to screw you one week. And the next week, he's going to have 2 touchdowns, 100 yards, and 24 points. And you're going to be like, all right, I'm keeping this guy. He's going to be so volatile. And again, same with McCaffrey. It's no fault of his own. It's just that offense around him. Not convinced. But now I'm not saying I think this is going to happen. I'd be shocked if this happened. If the Raiders, what is going on with me tonight?
Come on, man.
That's Jesus. If the Steelers trade for Aaron Rodgers, then my entire outlook on this changes. It all depends on what they do at quarterback. The last update I saw is that they are interested in Carson Wentz. Look, I am a Wentz defender. That's not enough for me to be like, oh, all right, Najee Harris' stock way up. It all depends on a very uncertain offseason. So again, this is not going to be our last top 10 because things could change very drastically.
I don't even think could change. I think they will change because I think
notice how we don't have a single quarterback in here. That is going to change. I fought hard for that, and we were just like, I don't know.
That's part of the disagreement, but yeah, we'll get into that obviously in our podcast episode this weekend. But yeah, closing out the top 10, this was a little bit of a surprising pick because, obviously Devontae Adams has been like a clear-cut wide receiver one the past couple of seasons, but with the uncertainty in Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers' return and possibly him leaving in free agency, depending on where he goes, it's a little bit of a question mark. So that's why me and Tad went with a little bit of more of the consistent effort with Justin Jefferson. Had a solid rookie season, followed up with a great sophomore season. Like we sort of talked about earlier, when we were talking about Dalvin Cook, Kevin O'Connell coming in as the head coach now. I think he'll lean more towards passing, obviously, because we saw that with Matt Stafford and the Rams, obviously. So I think Justin Jefferson will be a very good fantasy receiver for you, and that's why we put him here in the top 10. Tad, any sort of closing notes here on Justin Jefferson as to why he went in the top 10 compared to other receivers like Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, obviously, any other of those guys?
Justin Jefferson is the planes, trains, and automobiles of wide receivers. What you see is what you get. I like me.
Okay.
My friends like me. And I like Justin Jefferson because he is the absolute pinnacle of consistency. No matter if Kirk Cousins is a bad game, good game, doesn't matter. Justin Jefferson's going to get at least a touchdown and at least 60 yards. So you know what you're going to get. And that's the whole thing. If Rodgers goes back to Green Bay and Devontae Adams stays there, yes, Adams catapults to the spot, maybe even a little higher. But if Adams goes to Las Vegas, I think I would take Justin Jefferson over Adams in Las Vegas. Take the known versus the unknown. So this was a battle for me. I was like, no, Justin Jefferson needs to go here.
Yeah. So this is our consensus top 10 here. As we sort of mentioned a couple of times already, this is not going to be a set in stone sort of top 10. It's definitely going to change as free agency rolls around in a couple of weeks. Obviously, the draft will affect things. The actual draft obviously will affect things. Trades, obviously, with Jimmy Garoppolo possibly on the move, Aaron Rodgers, Calvin Ridley possibly. I mean, there's
Carson
a lot
Wentz.
of names. Carson Wentz, exactly. There's a lot of names that are possibly
Tom
going
Brady.
to be on the move. Tom Brady possibly coming out of retirement. That will affect things. So, this is just what we have right now. We sort of mentioned this a couple times already in the episode as well, but we're going to give our further analysis on this first round, these top 10 picks here on Saturday or over this weekend as far as when we're going to, drop this episode. We usually drop on Saturdays, but yeah, just obviously, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. That's the best way you can find out when the episode is actually going to be dropping. But yeah, we're aiming for somewhere around the weekend. And yeah, that's when we're going to dive into why we went with this top 10. Where did me and Tad have some disagreements? Why did we think Justin Jefferson over some other receivers? Tad was really pushing for a quarterback in the top 10, but I fought against it. So we went against it. So
you fought hard for that.
He's going to, obviously make his case for that too. So it's we're going to get into all of that, devote a little bit more time to get into the analysis of our top 10 picks here, consensus top 10, and yeah, really just dive into it. So I'm excited for that, Tad. This is the first time that we sort of linked the YouTube with the audio. So people, you gotta pay your dues with both mediums, people.
It's as simple as hitting subscribe button. I know that's a very tall order. It's like asking my students to write me 2 sentences at the start of class. I know I'm the devil for asking it, but you got to do it.
It's so true. It's so true.
You'd be shocked how many still write just like 2 words. I'm like, come on, man.
So yeah, as mentioned, I already mentioned it. Just hit subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, whether on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, right on the LAFB Network website, whichever platform you listen to your podcast. Hit subscribe. You'll always be aware about when the latest episode is dropping, including this upcoming one related to this YouTube video. And yeah, YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube LAFB Network channel. We have our own individual playlist, the Desai Guys Football Fantasy Forum playlist. So yeah, subscribe to that as well, so then you're always up to date when the latest videos are dropping. We've mentioned this so many times in previous episodes, but we're going to try to do a lot more fancier things in the off season, just experiment with different things, including new tech like this, where we're going to share graphics with you guys. This is going to be new stuff.
I don't like this. I like my face big. Let's do less of this.
So we're going to try different stuff like this.
This is the moneymaker right here.
So we're going to bring in, hopefully get in some more guests, obviously with the draft coming up, we're going to partner up with some of our guys from the LAFB Network, hoping to bring in some external guests as well. We always had a lot of fun with that. Obviously get into free agency stuff. We're going to get into draft stuff. We hopefully do some more game show stuff like we've done in the past too. So we got a lot of great content that we're hoping to bring to you guys, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on the podcast. And yeah, just to everybody that's listening to us, watching, who gives us a good rating, who follows us on our Twitter handles down below and the ticker. Like, I mean, there's a lot of great things that you guys are doing with the Desai Guys Football Forum. And seriously, guys, we just can't thank you enough.
Thanks for watching, guys.